All right, I'm going to float this notion here. And to me, this seems like an original thought, although maybe somebody said something before along these lines, and if they have, then great, you know, great minds think alike. Uh, but I've never heard this before. I've never thought this before in all of my years until just recently. Um, and I'm not an animal person. I don't I don't spend a lot of time talking about animals or animal behavior. It's not something that really occupies my attention all that much. But um, but it was recently pointed out to me somewhere how um, how cats, both cats and snakes, uh, hiss. How they both, how they both have that in common. House cats and snakes both hiss, and they both hiss for the same reason, to to express hostility, um, to when they're angry, and and uh, I thought it over. I thought to myself, and I think somebody else said it was like part of some. When I first read this, it was or heard somebody say this, opine this. It was like part of some weird kind of uh, probably crankish notion of like that either that evolution went a certain way, and I don't. I'm not big on Darwinian stuff, but I don't want to get caught up on that right now. I don't care whether you are or not. Um, but it was either that maybe there was some strange quirk in evolution, that the you know that but that the cat and the snake have, the fact that they have this in common suggests some kind of like common heritage for the two, even though one is a reptile and one is a mammal, of course. Um, and it was either that, or maybe there was some experimentation done. For those who think that the Earth was seeded with, again, this is all like out there, kind of theorizing about how animals got to be the way they are. Like those who think that the Earth was farmed by interdimensional species, and they maybe intentionally did some developed certain species by crossbreeding in certain ways, and I don't know, all crazy stuff, all out there. I don't want to say crazy because I'm open to anything or almost anything as a possibility, but stuff that just doesn't sound all that plausible. But what I would say is that the more that I think about it, the temperament of the cat and and that of the snake are very similar. They're very similar in temperament. And of course, I love cats. I like cats. I'm a cat person. I do not like snakes. I am not a snake person. But I have to admit that, you know, um, the demeanor of the cat. How would you describe the demeanor of the cat? The cat is usually not, um, overly interested in being affectionate, or overly interested. Definitely not interested in, um, the way that a dog is in the approval, winning the approval or having the approval of his master. Um, a cat has no master. You know, a cat just does its own thing. You know, and of course you can't get a cat to do anything. Uh, you know, the whole idea of like herding cats is the reason why uh, that quote is a thing, is because obviously they're not pack animals and they can't be uh, induced to do anything. Um, they're solitary creatures. I mean, I know that they have there's a hierarchy that develops if you have more than one cat around. So it's not like they just totally keep to themselves. It's not like they don't have a relationship to one another. If they're having, you know, if you own more than one cat, and yes, I did say own, because I do think a cat is a pet. I don't think it's an animal companion. I don't think it's my equal. So yeah, I'm gonna stick with that old fashioned way of talking about it. Um, but uh, so you've got a creature with a hierarchy. You've got with a cat. You got a creature with a hierarchy. You've got a creature who is, you know, unless, I mean, sometimes they like to snuggle and cuddle, um, but it's not something you can just rely on from them, and it differs from cat to cat. Some cats that I've known are very affectionate. Others are very non-affectionate, or most of them are sporadically affectionate. It's on the continuum. I don't know much about snakes, whether snakes are, you know, whether they would like when a cat walks past your leg, right? Uh, that's supposed to be a sign that it wants to be friendly to you, or maybe it just wants something from you. Maybe it sees you as a possible source of food, and wants you to feed it. Um, but it seems that cats, like snakes, are there's a combination of things. Okay, they are solitary. Um, they don't tend to go out of their way to find uh, trouble. You know, they can be vicious, and they can be deadly. Some snakes can be deadly, and some cats can be like the really like feral cats who are, you know, my ex-wife once got scratched, like like got bitten so badly by a cat that, like, she was helping out at a pound or something, and she got bitten by a cat, and it just took a chunk out of her arm, and she had to go to the doctor. It was really a mess. Um, and Yeah, so cats definitely have the capacity, if you know, if they have, if there's a certain set of circumstances, if they've been abused, or if they've been whatever, if they have a particular kind of antisocial temperament. Um, and snakes can be that way too. But generally speaking, you leave a snake alone, it's not going to bother you. It's not going to come after you, right? Uh, I guess there are snakes who are out there, but there is the predatory side of snakes, and most of the time humans aren't the victims of that. But I guess with some, like boa constrictors, that they are, or they can be. But most of the time, if a snake bites, it's out of self defense, or out of sense of self defense, and with a cat, it's kind of the same way. If a cat scratches you or bites you, they can also scratch you or bite you in a playful sort of way, um, which I don't know. Maybe snakes are capable of that as well. but I would not want to find out. So they're sort of like, generally speaking, they're like chill creatures. Again, one of them is a reptile, one of them is a mammal, but they tend to be solitary. They tend to be fairly on a fairly even temperament, even though snakes are not, most humans don't enjoy the company of snakes, and I'm one such human. But snakes are also predatory. If you've ever watched a snake feeding, I have not, but I've heard about it. I know what it involves. I don't think I could handle seeing it, seeing a snake devour a mouse or something like that, and have it, go down its gullet. That would just be a little too much for me to bear. But cats, some cats can be really, really viciously predatory. And I've got a cat right now who's, very, very mild mannered most of the time, and by now he's gotten to be somewhat aged. But there have been times, and he still does this from time to time. Still drag a creature inside. He'll take some poor bird, or some, a squirrel or mole, or something, some creature, and just absolutely just tear it to shreds. It's just like, my gosh, you're a psycho. you're a serial killer. What is the matter with you? And so but it's what they do. It's their temperament. It's what and some of them are better at it than others. Some of them do it more than some are more spoiled than others. Some are just so used to munching on cat food and just don't really. So the predatory side has been effectively erased in them. But this cat, who's been around for a long time, was an indoor cat at first, and was fed and was taken care of. But once he started going outdoors, once he had access to a place with a doggy door and was going out into the backyard and had access to critters, he would have at it. He was vicious, and I haven't seen him do it for a little while, but I still think he probably has it in him. And yet, most of the time, this is the most mild-mannered, sweet-tempered creature that you would think you would ever meet in the form of the four-legged quadruped feline type. So both predatory, both hiss, both basically chill if you leave them alone. And it's really kind of, the more I think about this, the more it sticks with me. The more I just think to myself, yeah, there's something there. There's something to that. I don't think of other creatures as being quite so interchangeable as these two types of creatures seem to be. Now I have a couple of cats right now. I would not want to have a couple of snakes just slithering free around the place where I live right now. That would not be to my liking. But I think that's just because, for whatever reason, we have certain things that set us off, and there's something about the sight of a snake. There's something about the I don't know, there's something about the whole notion of coming across a snake, that just for most people is just like, there's something very primal about that. It's not really tied up with the feeling of danger so much, because you're afraid of snakes that are mostly not going to hurt you. Even if they bit you, most of them are not venomous, or even the ones who are poisonous. They're you can. There's only a few who are positively venomous, but among but the fear that we feel with the snake doesn't really depend on whether it's the venomous or poisonous or non-poisonous. It's the same kind of fear that we feel when we see the most poisonous snake in the world that we do when we see the most harmless snake in the world. That's what I have found to be the case anyway. So there's something about just the very sight of the snake that sets us on edge, most of us. I know there's some people out there. There's some weirdos out there who actually like snakes. But I'm not one of them, but I've got to admit that there isn't that much temperamental difference between a snake and a cat. Am I wrong? Tell me if I'm wrong.